This is a 2011 61 plate Volkswagen Polo, and we have a problem with the battery keep going flat. Now you can see over here we have a touch hands-free kit fitted with the microphone up there, and that is wired in to a box below the dashboard under there. It was fitted by the garage that we bought the car from, and has been wired into the radio, behind the radio, using a special wiring loom, piggyback sort of wiring loom that came with the hands-free kit. There is a problem, and that is that the hands-free kit, with the key out of the ignition, is, I don't know if you can see that, is still powered. And not only is that flattening the battery regularly, but it means that if we're in the house and we try to make a call on the mobile phone, it tries to use the hands-free kit in the car parked outside. Now on Polos, the radio switches off when the key is taken out of the ignition. We'll just show you that. Put the key in, turn on the ignition, the radio comes on. Turn off the ignition, take the key out, the radio goes off. But you can press that and the radio comes back on. The radio does not have a power feed that only comes on with the ignition. The 12-volt feed to the radio is permanent live, and then the radio is sent a command to turn off using the CAN bus data system. Because of this, the hands-free kit is also permanently live, because it's wired in to use the power feed to the radio. What I'm going to try and do here is to change the power feed to the hands-free kit to use the fuse that powers the 12-volt socket below. That 12-volt socket only comes on with the ignition key at position 1. Okay. Now in the fuse box, which is underneath here, I've removed the cover. The fuse that runs the radio is fuse 45, which is this blue one here, 15 amp, blue 15 amp. The fuse that runs the cigarette lighter socket is fuse 42, which I've actually already removed, and that's also 15 amp. So by using one of these 15 amp fuses with a breakout wire, I'm going to run that wire to the hands-free kit, and hopefully then it should only work when the key is turned to position 1 or 2. I'm going to start by removing the radio fascia. What we do is get a sharp object like a dinner knife, pop that in, and just pop that. Same on the other side. Carefully pull that. And that just comes off. Now with the radio surround removed, we can remove the radio by undoing these 4 Torx screws, T20 Torx bit, and remove those, and then the radio should pull out. Okay, I've now removed the 4 T20 Torx screws holding the radio in, and the radio now can be pulled out. Okay. Now what we can see behind here is the aerial connection, the main connector for the radio is connected to this loom. So this mass of wires is what you get with the hands-free kit. Okay, the original connector for the radio is here. So that's taken out the back of the radio and then put into this socket, and there's all these wires, and it plugs into that one. These 4 wires here, well 4, which is more than 4, these wires here go off to the hands-free kit, and they're connected into various power feeds, and there's ground, 212 volt, there's a mute wire which is the yellow, and then the white and black, white and grey ones are the speaker connections to play the music or mobile phone conversation via the speakers. The issue is that where the blue and red connect in to these 2 pins here, both of those are permanent 12 volts. The blue wire to the hands-free kit needs to be a switched 12 volt, so 12 volt that only goes live when the ignition key is at position 1 or 2. When the key is at 0 or removed, the blue wire needs to go to 0 volts, and that's not happening. The hands-free kit is staying on and draining the battery. It's drawing about 0.8 amps, and that's just flattening the battery. You know, one night and come out the next morning, the battery is flat. So with the radio pulled out, now going to disconnect it. So remove the big connector, just squeeze there, pull that lever out like that. That comes out, and then the aerial, just pull that up and the aerial disconnects. The reason I've removed the radio, just to make things a bit easier so we can see what we're doing. What I've done here is replace fuse 42 with the 15 amp replacement fuse that has the break-in wire. That wire then goes off up inside the dashboard and connects in to the blue wire to the hands-free kit. I've used blue 5 amp cable here because it's the blue wire which needs to be switched by the ignition. The red wire to the hands-free kit needs to stay as permanent live because that keeps the hands-free kit going so that it can remember your contacts list and list of mobile phones, whatever else it needs to remember. It's the blue wire that's causing the problem here. That was permanently 12 volts and was draining the battery. Okay, so I'm going to refit the radio now and we'll try it and see if it works. So I've reconnected the main radio connector and the aerial, and slide it carefully back in. There is a little notch at the top which needs to line up with the little peg at the top there. Sometimes it's difficult getting the radio back in. You need to make sure that the existing original connector is right down the back. Okay, right down the back. Right, there we go. Now before I refit the screws and the surround, I'm just going to do a test. Here's the key. The key is out of the ignition. The radio should still work,
caravan site in Somerset,
which it does.
Alfred Isaacs was shot near Ilton on Thursday night.
Okay. The hands-free kit over here is not on. Okay, so looks like the problem's solved. Now let's just put the key into the ignition, put it to position 1, and you can see the Volkswagen logo coming up on the hands-free kit there. Okay, that should start to now pair up with the phones. There you go, that's ready to use. Okay, radio's on. Take the key out, and that should switch off, which it does. Okay, radio's gone off, but we can turn the radio back on. The hands-free kit is definitely off. Okay, I'll refit the screws and surround now. Refitted the screws, the 4 Torx T20 screws, and now I'm going to relocate the radio surround. So put the bottom in first. Press that in, and moving up the side slowly, push it in all the way round. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much for watching.